Alright, so usually I know I start with like a really long intro, but at this point, everyone who follows the channel or has been following the channel kind of knows that I just go for a long period of time without posting and then randomly do a post every once in a while. So, yeah, I'll just start with the topic of the video itself. Is Indominus Rex really the strongest dinosaur in Jurassic World? And if so, who outcompetes her? Well, I think it's important to just lay out a few contenders, if you may, for who could beat the Indominus Rex. And then I'll probably add like an extra dinosaur who hasn't had any competition with the Indom on screen to like give extra content. Or if there's a dinosaur who people try to argue could be the Indominus, then I'll just make a case for why it can or why it can't. So starting off with, I think probably the easiest one to answer, the Indominus Rex vs Rexy. Now I say this is easiest as these two have already fought before. Indominus Rex fought Rexy at the end of the Jurassic World movie, and well, I think we all know how that went, but there is an argument to be made for Rexy in that fight, as people think that she was malnourished, how she wasn't at her best, how there was the first time she ever faced that large theropod before, and now people are actually saying that Jurassic World Dominion Rexy could beat the Indominus Rex. Now, do I think this is the case? Short answer, no. But why is that? Well, for one, the arguments for her being malnourished kind of don't make sense. There was a statement stating that at the time when they caught Rexy to open Jurassic World, which was I think 2005 or 2007, that she was malnourished, she had diseases, but this was before Jurassic World was made, and it was heavily documented that after she received healthcare and she regained health. So the whole thing on her being malnourished and disease-ridden kind of doesn't make any sense. And even if it were the case, and if Dominion Rexy is just a healthier version of Rexy, well, she clearly isn't the more combat-aligned version of Rexy. And I say that because Dominion Rexy is visually slower, her durability is way less, her athleticism is way less, and because she's a little bigger, the only thing could really argue for her is just being physically stronger. But even then, when you compare them, Giga can't bite through a metal ladder with his jaws, but every time he would bite Rexy in Dominion, she would be hurt from it. And if you contrast that with the Indominus Rex, who bites way harder than the Giga and is actually able to destroy steel beams and consistently is able to scale up to the T-Rex's bite, as she's part T-Rex and that's what her bite is based on, Rexy is able to shrug off Indominus bites. Now yes, she does get hurt, but nowhere near the level that Giga hurts Rexy in Dominion, who clearly has the weaker bite force of the two. And also, to this fact, Rexy in Jurassic World, if this is the case, is just the stronger version between her and Dominion, and we already saw how that went. Even if you were to say Dominion is stronger, I don't think you could quantify it to a degree where you could make the argument that she would beat the Indominus Rex. Because outside of the first 20-ish seconds of the fight, Indominus was in control the entire time until Blue came. So it kind of throws that argument out the window if you really want to make the case. And to that fact, we know Dominion is the slower T-Rex, and Jurassic World Rexy, the only reason she had success was because she was blitzing the Indom. She was so much more fast, so much more explosive, and after that explosive adrenaline rush was over, Indom just took over. But Dominion Rexy, if you give her the strength advantage, she wouldn't even have that, because we know just from a visual perspective that she is slower than Jurassic World Rexy. So I think no matter which version of Rexy you put, whether it be World, JP1, Fallen Kingdom, or Dominion, Indominus would just smoke her. The next dinosaur to trickle down will be the Spinosaurus. Now, contrary to what people like Wade Willie, Goji Center, and the other creators of Jurassic World content in this space will say, the Spinosaurus with Indominus Rex, I really don't believe is a very close fight. Now, even if you ignore the hundreds of statements Rexy has for being the strongest natural predator, by the time it rolls around to Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, which from a narrative standpoint we know is when Spinosaurus is still alive, we just need to look at what they've done in the films and we could kind of just, as all functioning members of society, come to the conclusion that Spino really doesn't scale to Indom. Now, Spino's best feats, I guess you could say, are just surviving bull biting down on its neck, withstanding the plane crashing into its spine, busting through the metal fence, and yeah, I guess that's about it. If you want to add him crushing Big E.T.'s neck, that's okay too, but Big E.T. the entire fight was just kind of off guarded, and she was ragdolling Spino around, and plus it's kind of confirmed that, you know, Big E.T. is the physically more imposing of the two and is stronger than Spino, and the only reason Spino faced her was because he was mind controlled, and Big E.T. just isn't as strong as Rexy, and Rexy, you know, isn't as strong as Indom. So if you want to go off the chain scaling, Spino just gets negged. Even if you want to go off of feats only, Indom does drastically better feats than the Spino, and it's just objective. Like, Spino broke through a metal fence, alright, so did the Indom. She also smashed through the aviary glass, which should be stronger than the fence Spino was able to smash through. Spino took bites from T-Rexes. Oh, well, Indominus Rex did the same. Spino got hit by a plane. Oh, okay, Indom got hit by a rocket launcher. It's like, I don't think there really is a case to be made. Like, obviously there will be the people who will be like, Spinosaurus is the strongest thing in Jurassic World, and if Indom vs Spino is a 50-50 fight.
This is the only Jurassic villain that broke plot armor. Like, let's truly think about this. The Indominus Rex got ultimately plot armored. I mean, she literally had her claws around Rexy's neck going for the kill. He then got the worst luck ever, aka plot armor. You mean to tell me Blue and the Mosasaur hopped in on that and made sure they didn't kill Rexy? The Indominus Rex was cooked from the beginning of that fight, honestly. Then we have an Indoraptor that was supposed to be better than most.
It really isn't. Like, it just isn't. So I think with that we could move on to our next contender, Giganotosaurus. Now, by far, this is the most contended dinosaur that people have for beating the Indom, and for good reason. Giga is supposed to be the biggest carnivore in the series that surpassed the Spino and the T-Rex. We saw when he came on screen, it was just mayhem. He ate a locust. He tried to attack the crew. He got tased in his eye and ran away. Yeah, just forget about that. But don't forget, guys, he beat Rexy up badly. Now you see, if you get where the joke is going, Giga really just is not as powerful as Indom. Like, aside from the fact he got stabbed and ran away and tased in his eye, Giga just beat up the worst physical condition Rexy. So there are basically just 3 win cons you could give the Giga, right? There are just 3 ways how a dinosaur would beat an next dinosaur. It would be by killing it, by biting it, right? It would be trying to knock it out, or it would be by physically overpowering it so much so that it just can't do anything, and that would be its win con, right? Can the Giga do any of these? So let's break it down. Biting. So if Giga tried to bite Indom, would he have success in damaging her? No. We know that Rexes are stated to have the strongest and unmatched bite in the Jurassic World franchise. Giga's bite is not stated anywhere. It's not confirmed to be even close to that. And from what we've seen on screen, it can't bite through a metal ladder. It can't crush a metal ladder. And we've seen Indom is supposed to have a weaker bite than Rexy. She could bite through steel, right? She could rip the head off an ankylosaurus. She could destroy the gyrosphere glass, which should be scaled to steel, right? So I think if Giga bit Indom, there's a higher likelihood he'd get more damage from biting her than, the other way around. Next, you could argue Giga could overpower her. Giga is really big, he's extremely powerful, and that's the main reason he beat Rexy, because he just smothered her and made it difficult for her to attack him. Well, aside from Giga being the same frame as Indom, so trying to smother her with size would just be pretty difficult to do. There's also the fact that they are pretty much same-ish in weight, so there really isn't a way you could overpower her. Then there is also the fact that Indom one-shots Brachiosauruses and takes down whole herds of Apatosauruses, so I really don't see a way how Giga can overpower her. Now yes, you may be saying, but didn't Jurassic wield Rexy overpower her? Well, there is context to that. Indom had been fighting the entirety of the day on Isla Nublar. She faced a plethora of dinosaurs, ranging from, as I stated before, Ankylosauruses, the Apatosauruses, Brachiosauruses, and also freed a ton of dinosaurs from their captivity, trying to destroy steel, breaking down a bunch of structures the humans made. We know that she also got shot and attacked by humans in that same period of time. By the time she reaches to the downtown where she fights Rexy, she is not the same level of strength as she is at the start of the movie. That's just a fact. And even with that being the case, she still overpowers her. It was only when Blue came in the fight when Rexy actually got leverage over the Indom, and it was extremely difficult for her even still. But Rexy was able to overpower Indom. Can Giga replicate this? No. Because for Giga to replicate this, you would have to either use that version of Indom that's weakened, which we are not using, we're using the base Indom, or you have to somehow argue that Giga has the stamina to try and wear out Indom to a point where she could get in that state that Rexy fought Indom in to ragdoll her. Both of which are quite illogical to argue and kind of have no backing. Which kind of leaves us with just the last and final one, which is, can the Giga knock Indom out? Now, I think this is the least arguable one Giga could do. Like, Indom is getting smashed through explosions from buildings, rocket launchers. She ate a whip from the Ankylosaurus full on, like point blank, and she just doesn't even get hurt by it. She gets rammed into stuff, she rams into stuff, and obviously equal opposite force. If she slams her head into something, it hurts her as well. So, and she just doesn't seem to get fazed by it. I don't think knocking Indom out is like a viable option for Giga to try. So with that, I think that Giga is just outgunned, he is outmatched. Indom is way too durable, has way too much hacks, and is way better in AP. Lastly, I just want to throw one final wrench into this, just for fun. The Tarbosaurus. Now, Tarbosaurus is a little bit interesting. Some people have argued that Tarbo would beat Indom, which is, kind of room temp. But even then, can it stand a chance? Now, I don't think it will win, but I think it would be a little interesting, because Jurassic World Rexy is the one that the Tarbo faced, and we saw how Rexy speed blitzed Indom. Tarbo was speed blitzing Rexy and overpowering her, which is quite impressive. But I don't think that Tarbo would beat Indom for the same reason Rexy doesn't. And the only difference is Rexy has the strength, size, bite, explosiveness. Tarbo only really has the speed and explosiveness. It doesn't have the bite that Rexy has or the strength that Rexy has to overpower the Indom in the same kind of way. Tarbo is just a smaller version of Rexy. And the second Rexy bites Tarbo, it instantly just gets folded, it dies, and then she just roars over him. I think if Indom were to grab Tarbo, because she has arms, it's not like Rexy who has basically no functioning arms. If Indom grabs Tarbo's head and bites its neck, it's over. I don't think it's much of a fight, but it is interesting to argue. I don't think it stands much of a chance of beating Indom, I mean, it could give somewhat of a fight, but I don't know. Indom just kinda just folded, to be quite honest with you. So now I think at this point we've cycled through all of the dinosaurs that could possibly beat the Indominus Rex. None of them stand a chance, and the ones that sort of do get out muscled in the end and are just not strong enough or powerful enough or don't have the hacks. So with that being said, I think our last hope for beating the Indom is the Nosutoceratops. Now Nosutoceratops, I don't even have to argue, it's so strong it flipped trucks, and we know that Indominus Rex flipped trucks as well, so they scale the same. Nosutoceratops is faster, therefore it wins. Just kidding.